our side. General Howe decided to encamp his troops. I guess he was going to force our surrender later. So I called John Glover into my camp. He was in charge of the Massachusetts Marblehead men. They had great experience on the rivers and waterways. I told him to go up and down the river and get all the small craft he could. Bring it back to camp so that under the cover of darkness we could make our way across that river to the next island safely. Well, again, Providence was on our side. When the first rays of sunlight was coming into our camp the next morning, those last troops were boarding a small craft, myself included. About that time, a dense fog had rolled over the river into camp. Also about that time, the British troops were advancing on us. When General Howe arrived, he was astonished to see what we'd accomplished without any casualties. Obviously, he's going to pursue us into New York. He drove us through Manhattan Island, out of Harlem Heights, and on up to White Plains. Drove us out of White Plains. We even had to surrender two strategically located forts along the Hudson River, Fort Lee and Fort Washington. Many of my soldiers were taken prisoner, and we lost many of our supplies at Fort Washington in particular. But we continued to distance ourselves, living to fight another day. We headed down into New Jersey and headed west towards Pennsylvania and the Delaware River. The British encamped most of their forces at that time in northern New Jersey and that part of New York. We crossed the Delaware River. When we got to the other side, of the river, I called my officers together and said I heard from our spy ring, and we're going to be recrossing the Delaware and launching a surprise attack. Many of them felt that was much too risky and highly unadvisable.
With enlistments up at the end of the year, the general was going to lose most of his army. We needed a victory badly for confidence and morale. You see, fighting was uncommon in the winter months. Most of the time, commanders just encamped their troops for the winter and retired until spring. Well, the general couldn't do that.
Indeed. Our battle cry became victory or death. We're going to cross into New Jersey and launch an attack against a group of British mercenaries known as Hessians. They're holding their position in a place called Trenton. But it's December 25th, Christmas Day, when we start to board those boats. We get well behind schedule. We wanted to attack them before sunup, but because of the logistics of having to put the horses and the wagons on our cannons, as well as all our troops on those boats, and get them across the river, and Mother Nature didn't help. There was ice in the river. It was snowing, sleeting, raining, and there was fog. Till we got to the New Jersey shore, the sun was almost ready to come up, and we still had 9 miles to march through the ice and snow to get to Trenton, and many of my troops were still without shoes on their feet. When we finally got to Trenton, the sun was in the sky, but surprise was still ours, and victory was ours. I couldn't rest on this victory in Trenton. It's December 26th, and I'll be losing most of my troops by the end of the year in a matter of less than a week. So we headed back into Pennsylvania. I called my troops together and said I needed them to stay with me a couple more months as new recruits were being formed and new regiments had come to replace me. But I could see their minds were on going home to their farms and families in a couple of days. Then I offered them a bonus, still no good. Then I reminded them what that victory at Trenton meant to our cause and what it would mean to their families. Most of them rejoined me. We crossed over the Delaware again. We set up our defenses just below the bridge at Gasapine Creek. We knew the British were coming down from northern New Jersey under Lord Cornwallis to launch a counteroffensive. When he got here, we were ready, and we held our own at the bridge. Well, he decided to encamp his forces that night. He said, "We have the old fox safe now. We'll bag him in the morn." Well, this old fox didn't stay around. He took his troops and left a group of them behind with campfires blazing so the British wouldn't know we were leaving. We circled around Trenton and went north to Princeton. We met up with Princeton the next day with more British troops. And victory was ours again. 2 battles, 2 victories, badly needed at this point. We were going to go on to Brunswick where they had their supply depot, and we know it wasn't properly guarded, but my troops were much too weary. We went up to Morristown, New Jersey, and there we encamped that winter, where we could keep a watchful eye on British headquarters in New York City. And the rest is history.
Thank you.
Thank you.
understand that you would have questions for us.
Quickly get
We'd
him.
love to answer them.
Got questions.
Go, Max.
Oh, I
Why
see.
don't we do Can we, scratch? I won't.
I do. I got one. Stephanie, you ask yours. Yep. Tell them, say hello, my name is, and then ask your question.
Hello,
okay?
my name is Derek.
Can I ask mine? I want to see it first.
My name is Connor Tyson.
Yes.
Even Martha, not me.
Good question.